All right. Good morning, everyone. Coach Katie here, Coach Holly. We are going to be continuing our conversation on rest and recovery. And we're going to be talking about recovery between workouts and why your body needs recovery and kind of some of the misconceptions about how we maybe need to take a little bit more of a recovery period, maybe need to, deload as power lifters call it, or make less of our workouts. And so we're going to kick off with all of that. So good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So we call it deload in the bodybuilding world too, Coach.
Do you call it deloading? Okay, good. I wasn't sure because I was like, oh man, I feel like you guys do more of like, do you guys periodizations too, right?
Yeah. I mean, and of course, obviously it depends on the person and it depends on the goals and it depends I think your advance your level of experience and your goals have a lot to do with your recovery as well. But like everybody needs recovery. Like
Yeah.
I know so many people who I have worked with over the years who just never take a break. Like they never take a break. So how do you schedule your rest? And of course, last week we talked about rest periods between sets, but we want to talk about how do you schedule your rest like from the workout itself. How do you have like scheduled breaks? Because like, I always talk about like whenever I have competed in figure or women's physique, I swear like the only break I ever took a lot of time, like way back when I was dumb and didn't know any better, like I'm talking 20 years ago, I basically took a week after the competition, kind of like it was like a recovery week. It was really to recover from that whole prep because it's so hard on your body. But it was a scheduled break. But like I don't take time off. Like there is no, like I don't lay on the couch time off. I may try to get more rest and maybe lay on the couch if I can, but it is planned. There's a difference between planned time off or planned active recovery or deload versus just doing nothing and skipping your workouts. And like if you're a person who skips your workouts all the time, then you probably don't need a scheduled break because you've already got it. So we'll talk
I'm gonna actually point that out. Like I feel like I have a lot of clients, and they come to train sometimes here, and it's like if you're skipping workouts, we don't need to deload. We deloaded. That's what we did.
You already deloaded.
We already did that, and not really in like that strategic way. We weren't really strategic about the deload. So this week for me is deload week, and I'm still lifting. 80% of my max, but for very few reps and for really long rest periods between time, just to keep your body kind of used to that. But I do have so competition is Saturday, and then the week after competition, yay! Then I do have a scheduled break, as in I'm not going to be lifting very very much at all. Lots of cross training and just kind of mobility training and sort of moving that into that direction, just because your body does when you're going to max potential almost, your body needs to have that break and that recovery period. Otherwise you're just going to come at it with injuries, or you're going to be aggravating things that have still needed a little bit more time to repair themselves before you can get back and make more progress. And it's fun to see that those recovery periods, the times when we feel a little bit lazy, so that week that we feel a little bit lazy, I try to schedule my deloads around my period, which is crazy, but I do, because you feel like shit anyway. Your workouts aren't that great, so why not deload that week? But when you schedule
like
those,
I'm a little bit opposite. I'm more like I feel crappier like
the week
right
before,
like not during. So like for me, I feel like once I'm actually there, I actually feel like my workouts are a little bit better. Mine is probably like 5 to 10 days before. I'd say more like 5. It's usually just several days before it starts, but like I feel like dog do. Like it's just like I'm tired then, but like once I actually get there, I'm not as tired anymore. But so everybody's different, right?
Yeah,
That's like
yeah.
the whole.
But it's something, as you guys are listening to this, it's something to pay attention to, because you may be able to have that strategic deload or rest or recovery period during that time. And so you're really facilitating not only a healing and kind of that self-love for those times when your body really is not going to be at its highest potential. And so you're not forcing it to do something that it's really just, it's got other processes going on that just aren't, in alignment with doing its max. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so that rest and recovery, but I see myself bounce way forward after those recovery periods, after those deload weeks. That's when progress is kind of happening. And I see it too, especially for kind of that intermediate lifter, right? So the beginning lifters, you always see that progress, because, if we're just starting out lifting, you can almost just guarantee that there's going to be a progressive linear improvement. But once you get to that intermediate section, it's almost like you need that deload to be able to kind of pull them through that plateau over and over again. Do you see the same thing?
Yeah. And so like, one of the things that I think is worth discussing on that front is, okay, so obviously, as we said, you don't really need a deload if you're not consistent. Okay, like you have to be consistent for that. So like everything you do in your training should be towards a goal, right? You should not have like your workout should not just really be I'm not going to say meaningless, but like if you don't have a goal in mind, then basically you're just working out because it feels good. Okay, and that's fine, but we're talking about a little bit more advanced training that has scheduled breaks. And so if you're not consistent, and like I said, if you miss your workouts all the time, then you probably don't need to schedule that. But how do you know? Like, let's say you've been training for a while, and but you're really not sure when to schedule these rest periods, like these scheduled breaks. How do you know? Coach Katie, how do you know?
How do I know? Yeah, you're right. So for me, yeah, I think you're right on the goal thing, because I know exactly where I'm going. So I know what it's going to take to get me there. So it's kind of like reverse engineering the entire process to get to, if you're here at point A, you want to reverse engineer all of from point B. And I think that you're kind of right on. You can't go in there and just have this meaningless, training where you might jump on the treadmill for 30 minutes, might go over to the weights for a little bit, but there's no rhyme or reason to what you're doing. You want to have a strategic plan. And most times, if you've got a great strategic plan, it's going to be, I would say minimum 6 weeks to 12 weeks. And that 12 weeks is probably a good range, because every 3 months you should be kind of, identifying, is this working? Am I making progress? And kind of shifting, because your body should have made adaptations in that 3 months. And then going back and readjusting from that 3 month mark to the next mark. So it's kind of like, periodization is what they kind of identify it as. If you guys want to look up periodization, that's a cool thing to, just nerd out on. But you have to schedule those rests, those recovery periods within that 6 weeks too. It can't be that whole 6 weeks and then we have a recovery period. There has to be recoveries within that, and even between exercises. So you really can't go and decide, I just want a nicer butt, so I'm going to squat 3 times a week. And I'm going to squat heavy. You might be able to have a recovery workout with a squat, maybe on a Wednesday, that's a really low weight squat, and then have, larger squat workouts on maybe a Monday and a Friday. But you really do have to be strategic about resting those muscles enough that they're able to recover, they're able to rebuild that muscle fiber.
So yeah, typically like if I were like say let's say I'm working with a client and I am designing their workout and they have been, you know, like I have got several people who have been training with me for years, and they don't really, again, they kind of have their own time off. Stuff always happens in life, right? That's gonna like make you take time off. Like I just find that that is like the law of nature. Like if you don't schedule it, something's going to happen that's going to force you to take time off. So it could be, you know, like an injury, or it could be like this girl I trained, her granddad died. So she was gone for a week because of all that. So there's her deload. Like I didn't even have to make her do it. But like sometimes trying to get your clients to take the scheduled time off is really difficult. Now, like for me personally, if I'm training and I have, so my goals are generally, you know, my goals are not the same as Coach Katie's goals. Her goals are like she's powerlifting and I'm more bodybuilding. So my goals are usually revolving around working on like my weaker body parts, not weaker physically, but weaker aesthetically. So like my shoulders are super, super, super strong. Like I can do almost as much shoulder weight as my boyfriend who's 230 pounds, but I don't look like it. So like my goal is to look, I don't want to look like him, but you know, so my goal is to develop the body parts that I know need to be a certain look like on stage, right? So if I'm planning my workouts, I generally do this for my clients too, is I will do like a block of training. Okay. So like my training, let's say if I'm setting up 5 days of lifting for me, and I'm going to do that 5 days, I would generally do like probably only about, I consider like 4 weeks a block. That's for how I do it. But like I might do that twice before I have a deload. Okay. And then my deload, I may take that week and do something totally different. Like I might not do the same lifts, or I may do the same lifts at just like half of what I normally do. So I can decrease my weight used, or I can decrease like my number of sets or reps, or both. But so like you're doing the same movements, but at way less intensity as like a recovery. But sometimes I actually try to use my deload week to do the things that I avoid doing, like yoga, which I'm still really bad. Or like, you know, just like active recovery. So like maybe a totally different structured workout. So I'm still working out, but I'm actually asking my muscles like to do less than they're used to, because like you have to have that break. Like your muscles need, you know, it takes a lot of energy to recover. And so like scheduling in those periods of time where you're doing less or asking less, like it's actually not just a physical recovery standpoint, but really like mentally and like neurologically speaking, like you can have too much stress at some point, right? And like if you feel like, if you get to the point, like how do you know when to do this? If you have got to the point where you have been working out and training so hard for so long that like you have no energy, you're not fully recovered from your workouts, you're struggling in the gym, like that is probably a good time to schedule a deload or an active recovery week, just doing different things, letting your muscles fully recover. Because like a lot of times you will just drag yourself through something and you're not going forward anymore. You're just like spinning your wheels because your body is like tired and it needs a little break.
Mm-hmm. I always think of it like, you know how you can walk a dog for so long and then like they're literally tired and they'll just lay down, and no matter what, like you can keep pulling the leash and trying to get them to walk some more, but literally they don't want to. They're tired, they're worn out, right? They know it, they lay down.
Right.
If you let them rest, let them rest,
If
Let
they
them
get
rest.
rest and food and water, they're good to
They'll
go.
get up and go again. And that's the same for your muscles. That's the same thing that's going on in your body. You can just physically see it when a dog lays down. And that's what's going on when your body is shouting, like, no, like this has been long enough. We've done enough, you know, like I'm ready to take a nap here, you know. So that's usually how I identify that. You know, if you can see that or, you know, picture that, it's sometimes easier to identify, yes, I need to take a break. I need to, you know, just let my body recover. Let's talk about, so rest and recovery. I think that for most of the people I talk to, it's easy to identify if, or get on board, I guess, with rest and recovery and saying, yeah, I'm open to doing that, because most of us don't want to, right? We want to get those results. We want to get them fast. And, you know, society tells us we need to be in there, like just going balls to the walls every workout. You know, it's got to be in pain after the workout, you know, make sure that we've got that muscle soreness so we know we can feel that it worked. But let's talk about if you're in it for the long haul, rest and recovery seem like part of the process, because you can see it as a process. You can see it as a strategy, as part of the system. And that, I think, is where we can identify who's in it for just, you know, the fast results. And I just want to get it done and be done. Or how can I make this, you know, work for a long time? How can I make this a routine, a habit, a consistent build, a consistent personal improvement? And then when we have that mindset, when we start with that mindset of, you know, long-term longevity, right, in lifting, those rest periods, that recovery time seems like a no-brainer. Yeah. Would you guys agree? I know Taylor's on here. Yeah, but I think that, you know, would you agree? I think
I can't see anybody, if anybody's making comments, but just, you know.
Taylor says good morning, and she said, I think she said that explains a whole lot about last week when we were talking about the periods.
Yeah, well, you know, you have to listen to your body for sure. Mm-hmm. What were we just talking about? Because I forgot the comment.
Yeah. So the recovery period, so longevity wise, right? Like if we're going to be in it for the long haul, if we're here to do it and do it long term, the rest and recovery doesn't seem like I don't need that. It seems
right. I mean, like so y'all, it's like, honestly, if, you know, this is a journey, right? This whole, like, lifting is a journey. It should be a journey. There is never an end. There's never an end. Like, it's not I think one of my boot camp shirts used to say, fitness is a journey, not a destination. Mm-hmm. So like, you don't just get there and stop, right? So like, I learned this the hard way, like competing for years and years and years. And for the first decade of me competing, I never really had a set plan. Like, I did all the things, I did all the prep, I competed, I did all the things again. But like, just the past decade, actually like 11 plus years now, everything I have done has been about getting to the point of like, yes, I got to the stage, but there was always a planned recovery and re-entry and movement to the next goal. Okay. So this is like always planned out ahead of time. So like, I know, and even like with my clients, like there should always be another goal. Like, you should never be done with improving yourself. And the key is longevity takes scheduled, like, planning and breaks. So like, you don't get injured. I used to have a client who played golf, and he said he stayed with me so long because I kept him injury free playing golf. And like, that's what it was all about. It was all about his golf game being better, which didn't just mean like we just had to do the strength portion, right? Like, because you have to look at all the factors. So he also had to do the stretching. That was one thing. Like, every time he came to me, we did extra stretching because he did not do that on his own. But I did teach him stretches to do when he was playing golf, like when he was warming up and stretching and whatever. And it kept him injury free. So it was all about getting to the next thing. So you've got like milestones in this journey. So you've got milestones in the journey, but It does not stop. So you maybe have a milestone here, and then you've got a scheduled plan, and then you've got another like break, and then you've got another, like, so you get to the next milestone. So for Coach Katie, it might be her next competition. Okay. Her powerlifting competition. For me, it might be my next, women's physique competition. But for anybody else who's like not competing, there's still goals. Okay. So these goals could just be as simple as, a vacation. Like it could be like, your cousin's wedding. It could be like an event. But so like everything though should have a plan.
Yeah.
Don't tell me like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. I like to tell like my son, he's always like going sport to sport and everything changes, but it's like, okay, but if you always just take on the mentality of athlete, even if you aren't actually there, right? Or there's an off season, there's still that mentality there of what are you training for, right? What's the point of your training? And I think that just has to be one of those mental check-ins with yourself, that it's like, okay, what am I training for? And honestly, I really just, you know me, I left weight loss over a year ago because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, right? Because once we get there, then what, right? That's where yo-yoing happens, because it's not one of those things that we can continue to improve on, right? We can't continue to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller for the rest of our lives.
Y'all, just like news alert. Like, I mean, okay, there's a time and a place like for everything, but yes, I mean, like what Coach Katie says is like totally right. So like, obviously when I'm prepping for a competition, my goal is to get leaner, right? But it is never to stay there. And I don't continue to go in that, like, I cannot just do fat loss forever, because why? It's not healthy. And like, you can't just keep losing. You can't just lose weight and keep losing and losing. You know what you're going to do? You're going to lose your muscle. You're going to lose your energy. You're going to lose your drive in life. You're going to lose your motivation. And why? Because of a number on a piece of something, metal, plastic, whatever. Because like, the scale is irrelevant when it comes to how you feel, right? And so like, when we should have these goals in life, but it shouldn't be like, your only number-based goal should be like in the gym, right? So
yes. Okay, so we've got some comments coming in. I think, yeah, if you're going to focus on numbers, focus on the weight that's, that you're lifting. Focus on what your body is capable of at every size. In powerlifting, there isn't a size. There isn't a chosen size that's, more athletic or better capable of lifting weight than another one. And it's fun to see every different body shape and size lifting on the platform. And it's just super fun. Totally in it for the long haul, Taylor says, listening to her body, and she does rest when she needs it. She's even eating more when she needs to. Trina says, Trina, I hope I didn't butcher your name. She's watching, needed to hear this, was struggling yesterday and today, and needed to take a break, but the guilt. Oh, let's talk about the guilt. It is so real, right? So we're going to talk about the guilt, Trina. And Taylor says she is smaller than she intended and now wants to build some more muscle. And I agree, right? And that's just kind of like a personal preference. I think if you can identify, your personal preference based outside of what society tells you should be, and be able to enjoy life at fullest expression, you're going to be able to come from that self-love standpoint of your body, and not loathing standpoint that I think isn't really practical for creating long-term sustainable health. So Trina, let's talk about this guilt around taking a break, the rest and recovery guilt. What do you think, Coach Holly?
Like, as far as the guilt?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, like, if this is a planned thing, then you should never feel bad, because this is in your plan, right? So just know that, like, if you have a scheduled break or recovery period time, away, so you're not doing the training that you did, keep in mind that when you rest is when you recover. So if you are not allowing proper recovery, we have that built in. Like, if you were a client of mine, I would have days that are like maybe off days or just cardio only or whatever. And that is scheduled just so your body can recover from the lifting a little bit more. But like a scheduled break in there is like not something like, know that there is a purpose. So there is no need for guilt, because like this is actually making you better. When you have that recovery time, that is when you are actually getting stronger. Your muscles are healing. They're going to actually give you better results when you come back. Like Coach Katie said earlier, you're going to be able to do better. Like if you're to the point where like I said, like if you've got like a nagging something bothering you, like my shoulder just is always irritating me and whatever. Well, like when was the last time you took a break? Like, did you have a planned recovery week or a deload week or whatever? So like, just know that like there's no room for guilt, because like you're doing this for a reason, right? So like you should actually look forward to that and not beat yourself up. A lot of people will beat themselves up like, well, you know, I don't know. It's sort of like well, I'm not working out, I'm not in the gym, I'm not burning calories and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Again, it's planned and your body is repairing itself to come back even better. Okay. So like when you use that, it's a strategic thing. So definitely not anything to feel guilty about, because there is a plan for it.
Yeah. And if you need to get rid of the guilt, and maybe the guilt is coming from not having that plan, reach out. Coach Holly, Coach myself, like we will help you, put together some sort of plan in order to know. Then you're coming from this, confidence that no, this is exactly what I need. And when you know that, when you understand it, it's really easy to get on board and kind of eliminate that guilt that comes along with not knowing where you're going or what the purpose is.
Yeah, y'all know, I know it's hard. Like, because sometimes when I have a deload week, or like scheduled breaks, it's sort of like, it's like I almost don't know what to do with myself, because I'm used to like X amount of time per day spent at the gym. But you know what? It's like a really good time to like, do a project at home, or like, so I can't remember. Oh, I got this outdoor furniture, y'all, that I had to put together. Put this together myself. So like 2 weeks ago was like my deadline. That's when I got this. And I'm like, so you know what? You can just do something that's like something you've been wanting to do, or like a hobby, or something that's like get your mind off of, let's say you spend an hour or so in the gym a day. That's only an hour. It's not saying you got to sit around and do nothing, but like I know that like a lot of times on my deload week, that's when I like try to catch up on all of the things that I don't have time to do any other time, because even an hour in a day makes a huge difference in like getting things done. And so like I try not to think about it as I'm not working out kind of a thing, because I do other things. Like even if I just try to do like 30 minutes of, yoga, or 10 minutes, like y'all know, I've been trying to do 10 minutes of meditation a day for like this whole entire year, and I'm still working on that. So you I'm just saying, like, if you have it planned, then it's all good. So like sometimes you need a coach to help you come up with, a lot of people don't know what their goal is. Like they do stuff and they think they have a goal, but they don't have it like concretely identified. So it's hard to like have these training periods and recovery periods planned when you don't really know where you're going with it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Let's see if we have any other questions before we wrap this up. I like to keep it we did go to about 30 minutes, but I like to keep it, at least short enough that it's easy to go back and watch. But like you guys just never know. Coach Holly and I, we might, we find some tangents and we go off on them, but we really do. This is fun for us to talk about. So thanks for being here and letting us just share this information with you. Of course, we always love it when you reach out and ask us questions. You can ask us questions here in the Body and Power Facebook group. You can ask us questions when we post it on our YouTube channels. You can ask us questions in our podcast, or send us emails or direct messages, or whatever you need to do in order to get a hold of us so you can have those questions answered in some way or another.
Yes, and comment. Like if you
yes, like and comment and share, right?
So if you're on YouTube, you know, be sure to share and subscribe and like and comment. Because if you comment, you know, in here, like what you're interested in, then that could be a future topic that we discuss. Okay. So we always like comments, feedback, you know, all of that.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. We will see you next week.
Thanks, ladies or men or gentlemen. Anybody.